It is that time of the year, fall in Oklahoma, which means the State Fair, which means food, means amusement rides, and all sorts of family fun to be had. Here to talk about the ride portion of this, Oklahoma's Labor Commissioner Melissa McLawhorn Houston.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Great to see you again. You stopped by, basically we had a conversation about you and your job earlier this summer.
Right.
At that point, the kids were about to go back to school. How's that going?
It's going well. The youngest, Matthew, is in 5th grade, so that's kind of continuation. But the oldest, Robbie, transitioned to middle school.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a new world.
Big deal. And the first day of school, I was driving him there. He agreed to let me drive him. And he said, "Mom, I really love you, and I'm so proud of how well you're handling this." Thank you. Thank you, Robbie. So
there's probably some element of truth to that.
Yeah,
right?
So he's fine, and I've been making the transition slowly, but we're getting there.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Again, the State Fair coming to Oklahoma City, September 15th through the 25th, so it's just next weekend. And the Labor Commissioner, your department has a lot to do with ride inspections, perhaps more so than we might think.
Absolutely, and I think that's something that we've really been trying to get the message out about, especially with all the accidents that have taken place this summer. I mean, there's been a lot of incidents in the news.
You know, unfortunately, you see that every summer. A ride is stuck. We had that out here at Frontier City, which is one thing. You know, rides will malfunction, electronic equipment will happen. Unfortunately, we had some really severe headlines over the summer, which is kind of the outlier of things. Still, that raises awareness and people are concerned.
It does, and I think what people need to understand is that it depends upon the ride, it depends upon the state. In the Frontier City issue, actually the ride did what it was supposed to do. There was a power issue, the ride lost contact, and so the ride is designed to stop, to keep it from crashing or going off. So it did what it was supposed to do. Now, it would have been better had it not stopped at that height, but it did what it was supposed to do. So in some of these states, what a lot of people don't realize is there is no federal system for regulating amusement rides.
So it's a state by state.
It is state by state, in some instances county by county. Wow. So there are, like the Tennessee, where they had the Ferris wheel incident, that was actually a county regulatory scheme. So there's only about 30 states that regulate amusement rides. Within those 30, there is a whole continuum. There may be just kind of a self-reporting. It may be turning in an insurance policy.
Wow.
All the way up to the level that we have in Oklahoma, which is one of the highest levels, which is where you have state-employed inspectors who actually go on site to inspect the ride. In addition to all the other things, we have that additional layer in the state of Oklahoma.
So you have a crew of inspectors who will go out to the fairgrounds as the construction begins, and what will they be doing? What will they be looking for?
So it depends upon the ride, because we do have jurisdiction not just for fixed rides such as Frontier City, but also traveling rides, county fairs, and inflatables, zip lines. I mean, there's all kinds of rides that we have jurisdiction over. So in the case of the State Fair, obviously it's a very big deal. So the operator of the show comes in, brings in the rides. Our inspectors will actually be there starting Saturday. So the Saturday before the fair opens, we will be there as those rides come in. Okay. We'll be there as they come off the truck, as they are constructed from the ground up. Very similar to what we did in the Wheeler District with the Ferris wheel, where we were there.
I was going to ask, you guys had a part in that as well.
We did, for the pouring of the concrete, the putting of the footing, just really from the ground up. Partnering with the ride owners and the ride operators to make sure that, in some instances, we have inspectors who've been doing this for an enormous amount of time. And so they're actually a great resource who can be helpful to some of these ride owners. So we'll be out there starting on Saturday for the construction. What a lot of people don't know is we actually are on site for the State Fair the entirety of the fair.
So the 10 days, the 15th through the 25th out at State Fair Park, you have a crew on site.
We will have that manned anytime a ride is operational.
Okay.
There will be somebody from the Department of Labor who will be there.
Very good. So they stay there on site during the whole thing. Something else that you and Christina Foss, thanks for your help with the interview, as always, were pointing out to me that there are some tips that consumers can be aware of, things to look for.
Mm-hmm. I think it is, amusement ride regulation is really a partnership. There are lots of different roles that everyone has to play. Certainly the ride owners, we expect the rides to be safe, and the ride manufacturers. The ride operators, we expect them to be trained and to know what they're doing. The ride owners actually do often daily inspections of these rides, and we will do our part to make sure that those rides are inspected before they're operational. But there is also a responsibility on the patrons, especially those parents. There are lots of regulations that are posted on the ride that are important for parents to follow. One of the biggest challenges that the amusement ride industry faces is you must be this tall to ride.
48 inches or whatever it may be.
Exactly.
The height requirement for that ride.
Whatever the height requirement is, that's not a gauge of maturity. That's not.
This is a safety issue.
It is an actual engineering schematic of the size that the body must be to fit into the seat and the restraining system.
Kiddo may not be properly restrained, may not be seated properly within that
Absolutely.
That ride.
So if a parent is, making their kids stand on their tippy toes and spike up their hair and say, "Oh, but my Timmy is fine," it's their responsibility as well. That is not a safe thing. So even if the owners and the operators and the Department of Labor have done everything they can do, and you have a parent who's kind of circumventing all the safety procedures that we put in place, so it's not good. The other thing that parents can do, and this is something that I didn't know when I came into the Department of Labor. Again, having two sons, I've obviously been to amusement parks and ridden the rides, and I did not realize that we have a sticker, we have a tag that can indicate that that ride has been inspected. It will have the Department of Labor on it, it will have a date on it, so you can know that the inspection was done, this year, this season, prior to the operation. And that's especially important when you are talking about a ride like an inflatable. That area is actually especially challenging for us.
Why is that?
There are so many, I don't want to use the word rogue, but so many companies that just kind of will go out and buy them and set them up.
Okay.
And not go through the inspection process and not follow best practices. And if an inflatable is not properly staked, they can blow away. And we've had injuries, we've had probably actually more injuries there than in a lot of areas in the state of Oklahoma. And so it's very critical. We have some great companies in Oklahoma who rent out inflatables, who are very reputable. They do a great job. We work with them. Their inspections are up to date. And the way you will know that is you will see the sticker that is properly dated.
As a proper born on date, this is...
Exactly. And they're trained and they make sure their people are trained. And so you want to make sure that you're using a reputable company when you're doing things like that. And so when you're on scene, and I do it too, we had an inflatable recently at one of our kids' fairs, and I checked to make sure the sticker was there and the date.
You probably can't help it now, because you know exactly what to look for.
I can't. I do the same thing now in elevators as well, and escalators. Those are all things that we regulate similarly. So.
Well, now that you brought that up, what should I look for in the elevator?
In the elevator, escalator, it's the same thing. You'll look for the sticker. It'll say Department of Labor. It'll have a date and
so a good range is within the past year?
Yes.
Okay.
Elevators are within the past year. Now, Oklahoma City actually will do their own elevator inspections. The larger cities, Oklahoma City and Tulsa, can opt out. So Tulsa has not, Oklahoma City has. So if you see an Oklahoma City property, that will be their inspectors, but a state property will be ours.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Melissa McLawhorn Houston with the Department of Labor, the Labor Commissioner. What's your favorite ride, or what's your favorite food at the fair? What are you looking forward to at the fair?
I am always excited to see what kind of new creations are coming about, especially
something fried and on a stick, probably.
Anything pretty much fried and on a stick is really good for me. Throw in some chocolate and some bacon,
I was about to say bacon, right?
I'm pretty good. So.
The State Fair hits Oklahoma City September 15th through the 25th. I believe you have a press conference coming up next week advancing that.
We do. We will be doing that. There's been a lot of interest this year in amusement rides and amusement ride safety, and so we're bringing in a press conference to just kind of let people know what it is that we do, to have the ability for members of the media to see kind of how some of our inspections work and what we're looking for. And so it's really just an opportunity to continue to educate the public.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you stopping by and our continuing conversation.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.